I, 24 years old, have siblings, 4-year-old girl, 13-year-old girl, and 19-year-old girl. And they have lived with me for 5 years, and our mother is not mentally there. I didn't even know of my youngest sister's existence until she was 2 years old, and a family member expressed concern for her. That is just to give you an idea of how unstable my mom is. My 19-year-old sister, let's call her Emmy, went to college in the fall. Financial aid had covered a really heavy fee, and it was left to me to cover about $6,000 after it, which didn't seem too bad, considering how much university is without it. And I also agreed to give her $50 a month to sustain herself. I agreed to pay that money for my sister because, at the time, I really didn't want her taking out any loans. I didn't get the opportunity to go to college. I have been working since I was pretty young, and I had my siblings, so there was no way I could juggle a job that would sustain us and college. Now, my sister called me a few days ago and asked for $100 to go out with her friend. I said I don't have it. She got upset and said that the money I gave her was only enough for her sanitary supplies and she could barely eat out. She has a meal plan in a dorm. I told her for the 5th time to get a job. Guess what she told me after that? She told me I wanted to ruin her college experience because I am uneducated and didn't get the chance to go to college. So I am placing my anger on her because I am jealous of her. We even argued for a hot minute. She even asked me what I was spending my money on, and I asked her if she knew how much she knew it was to maintain our youngest sister. She said she was in school half the day. My younger sister is in daycare. Public school is free, daycare is not. I need to work, and in order for me to work, I have to pay an outrageous amount to leave her in a daycare. Now, Emmy is somehow unaware of this and is acting like taking care of 3 of them is a financially easy task. Mind you, this is not the first time she is being selfish. I asked her to apply to be an RA so she could get free housing, but she didn't even attempt to apply. If she got rejected, I wouldn't be upset, but she did not even turn in an application. After arguing with her that what she said was selfish, I gave in and agreed with her. I told her I was so jealous that I was not going to pay for tuition ever again, and when she comes home, she can get a summer job to maintain herself or take out a loan. I don't know why I am working myself thin and exhausting myself for someone who doesn't even appreciate it. I told her I wasn't joking and was dead serious and hung up. She sent me some apologies after. Am I being a jerk and cutting her off? She will still always have a place in my home. I am not leaving her homeless, or is she just a teenager and am being childish? See, I understand that me taking in my sibling was my choice, but it wouldn't hurt to receive some thanks for the amount of work I do for them. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. When I was in junior high, we had to create a budget. We were given a monthly income amount and a list of typical expenses. We had to find a place to rent from real advertisements, buy a car that we could afford, create a shopping list, and more. It was eye-opening. Surely a young woman in college can learn the same lesson. It might be worth taking the time to show her what you earn, what you take home, and then show her the expenses, including the monthly expense of helping her with tuition and fun money, and how little extra money there is. She wants to know what you are spending your money on, so show her. Rent, utilities, daycare, food, insurance, transportation, and more. Maybe she will see how hard you are working and struggling to support people and could benefit from getting a part-time job. Not the idiot. Comment 2, not the idiot. First, I commend you for taking on your siblings because they are not your responsibility. Second, never allow someone to disrespect you. There is no amount of help that will make them respect you. Stop giving her money, even the $50. Third, let her feel exactly what a financially responsible adult feels. She can get loans and still come out ahead. She can get a job and take care of her own needs. Fourth, it is time for her to take responsibility for herself and her finances. She is responsible for her college experience. Fifth, do not allow her to speak to you like a sister and expect you to finance her like a parent. Cut the cord. Her attitude is entitled and disrespectful. It's time for you to take back your power and do things to better your life. Now, for the update. Hey everyone, it's been a week since my last post, and I wanted to give you all an update on what's been going on. Thanks for taking the time to read this. After the argument with Emmy, things were pretty tense between us. She kept sending me apologies, but I was still hurt by what she had said. I couldn't stop thinking about how she accused me of being jealous and trying to ruin her college experience. It made me question whether I was doing the right thing by supporting her financially. A few days later, I got a call from the daycare center. They told me that our youngest sister had gotten into a fight with another kid and needed to be picked up immediately. I had to leave work early to go get her, and when I arrived, I found out that she had a pretty nasty bruise on her arm from where the other kid had hit her. As I was driving home with my little sister, I couldn't help but feel overwhelmed. Between work, taking care of my siblings, and the constant financial stress, it felt like I was drowning. I started to wonder if Emmy even realized how much I was sacrificing to keep our family afloat. When we got home, I sat down with my little sister and talked to her about what had happened at daycare. She told me that the other kid had been making fun of her because she didn't have a mom to pick her up like the other kids did. It broke my heart to hear her say that, and I realized that no matter how hard I tried, I could never fully replace our mom. Later that night, Emmy called me again. This time, she sounded different. She told me that she had been thinking a lot about our conversation and that she realized how selfish she had been. She apologized for not appreciating everything I had done for her and our siblings, and she promised to start looking for a part-time job to help out with expenses. I was surprised by her change in attitude, but I was also relieved. It felt like a weight had been lifted off my shoulders, knowing that Emmy was finally starting to understand the reality of our situation. As the week went on, I started to reflect on my own childhood and how it had shaped me into the person I am today. Growing up with an unstable mother had forced me to grow up quickly and take on responsibilities that most kids my age never had to worry about. I realized that my experiences had made me stronger and more resilient, but they had also left me with a lot of emotional baggage that I was still working through. I thought back to the day I first found out about my youngest sister's existence. I remembered the shock and confusion I felt when I realized that my mom had been keeping such a huge secret from me. It was a turning point in my life, and it was the moment I knew that I had to step up and be there for my siblings in a way that our mom never could. As I reflected on everything that had happened over the past few years, I realized that taking in my siblings had been the best decision I ever made. Even though it was hard and sometimes felt impossible, I knew that I was giving them a chance at a better life. I was determined to keep fighting for them, no matter what challenges we faced. Looking back on this past week, I realized that it was a turning point for me and my family. Emmy's apology and newfound understanding of our situation gave me hope that things could get better. And my little sister's experience at daycare reminded me of why I do what I do. I know that there will be more challenges ahead, but I feel more prepared than ever to face them head on. Thanks again for reading and for all your support. It means more to me than you know. Aita for seeking full custody of my grandkids. After their mother tried to cut me out of their lives, my son Tommy died suddenly 6 years ago. He was recently divorced with 2 kids with his ex-wife. The kids were 5 and 6 years old at the time of their dad's death. The kids and Tommy lived with us for a year at one point. Tommy's ex Marla was serving time after she stole from Tommy, from a friend of Tommy's, and from my husband and myself. It delayed the divorce, so they had been separated for more than 2 years, and the separation started when Tommy learned Marla had cheated. We found out about the stealing after, and she stole from us after the separation. All in all, Marla stole close to $35,000 between all of us. Marla had recently been released and started back with 50-50 custody of the kids when Tommy died. After Tommy died, Marla attempted to cut our family out of the lives of my grandchildren. My husband and I went to court and were awarded very generous grandparents' visitation under grandparents' rights of our state. Marla was furious. She tried to appeal, but it was rejected twice. The relationship between us was not civil, so we kept it simple and only communicated times for pickup. Dates were already specified. Marla remarried and now has additional children. Marla has asked a few times for us to include her other children. We ignore the requests. She has yelled at us when we pick up our grandchildren and does not care if they hear. We stay silent generally. My husband and I have no wish to be a part of her other children's lives or to play any sort of role in her current husband's life. We have a relationship with our grandkids. They're close to us as we are to them, and they never ask to include their half-siblings. So we keep things as they are. Last week, my grandson had a school talent show that they wanted us to attend, so we did. Marla and her husband were there with their kids, but we sat apart. When the kids finished and went back to their classrooms, and as we were leaving, Marla approached and asked us to please think of her other kids and start acting like grandparents to them. We stayed civil and refused. Marla called us monsters. She said we were hideous monsters for turning our backs on her and her other kids just because she moved on after Tommy. She accused us of cruelty to children. She was very loud. I lost my temper and told her if she had wanted us in her life, she wouldn't have cheated on our son and stolen from him, his friend, and us and ended up going to prison. I told her we owed her nothing and we owed her children nothing, and she needed to accept that our grandkids would always be our grandkids. But she was no longer part of our family. Marla reacted to others hearing this and told me I had no right to air her dirty laundry publicly, that I should have kept that out of our mutual dispute. Am I the idiot? Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1, not the jerk. She verbally attacked you in public and got mad that you gave it right back. Nothing you said was a lie. She's living the consequences of her own decisions. She sounds completely unhinged and toxic, trying to keep you away from your grandchildren, then attacking you for not including in your life children that are not related to you. I feel sorry for her kids, growing up with a mother like that. Comment 2, not the jerk one. She cheated on your son too. She stole from him, you and friends 3. She forced you to go to court for visitation rights to your grandchildren. She then protracted that process while you were grieving. 4, she started in on you in public. You get a totally free pass for reacting in the moment. This woman is an egregious jerk. Sorry about your son. Now for the update. Hey everyone, thanks for all the comments and support on my last post. It's been a tough couple of weeks since the talent show incident with Marla. After the confrontation at the school, things got even more tense between us and Marla. She started sending us angry texts, accusing us of turning the kids against her and her new family. We tried to ignore her and focus on our time with the grandkids, but it was getting harder to shield them from the drama. One weekend, when we had the kids over for a visit, our grandson accidentally let slip that Marla had been telling them we didn't love them as much as we used to because we refused to include their half-siblings. It broke our hearts to hear that she was trying to manipulate the kids like that. We sat them down and reassured them that our love for them would never change, no matter what. We decided it was time to take action and protect our relationship with the grandkids. We contacted our lawyer and started the process of seeking full custody. It was a difficult decision, but we felt like we had no other choice. Marla's behavior was becoming increasingly erratic, and we worried about the impact it was having on the kids. As we dug deeper into Marla's past, we uncovered some disturbing information. It turned out that her stealing from Tommy and us wasn't an isolated incident. She had a history of financial fraud and had even served time in prison before meeting Tommy. We realized that we had been too quick to forgive her after Tommy's death, and that we should have been more cautious about letting her back into our lives. The custody battle was long and ugly. Marla fought us every step of the way, making wild accusations and trying to paint us as unfit grandparents. But in the end, the judge saw through her lies and granted us full custody of the kids. It was a bittersweet victory. We were relieved to have the kids safe with us, but heartbroken that it had come to this. Looking back, I realized that I made a mistake in confronting Marla so publicly at the talent show. I let my anger get the best of me and said things that I shouldn't have. I know that airing our dirty laundry in public only made things worse for the kids. I should have found a more private way to address the issue with Marla. But at the same time, I don't regret standing up for our rights as grandparents. We have always been there for those kids, through thick and thin. We were there for them when their father died, and we'll continue to be there for them no matter what. They are a part of our family, and nothing will ever change that. Thanks for reading and for all your support. It means the world to us. AEET for refusing to let my daughter do her best friend's schoolwork, despite pressure from both our families. I, 42-year-old female, have a daughter, Mia, 17-year-old female who attends online school, and her best friend is Emily, 17-year-old female who she met in the 6th grade. Last year, Mia started slipping with her grades a lot. She did have trouble in school before, but it was usually just math and science-based subjects that she struggled with and reached out for help when she needed it. This was due to a mental health crisis since our house had burned down, and a lot of valuable things were lost. Also, there were varying health scares and surgeries with close family members. I put Mia into counseling, and I worked out a deal with her school, where in short, she'd only have to keep her grades passing or above passing in order to graduate. Mia improved a lot after that, and she has been keeping her grades above passing ever since then. Her graduation is next month. Susan, 45-year-old female. Emily's mom had gotten the same deal, but Emily hasn't bothered trying to keep it up. Emily also has struggled in school, but from what Susan and my daughter say, she doesn't try to actually improve. Mia herself has tried to help Emily in the subjects she does well in, English and history, in the past, and it did work for a little bit, but then her grades dropped again. I was on the phone with Susan earlier, and she was venting to me about how if Emily didn't complete her overdue work and get her grades up in the next 2 weeks, May 17th is their last day to turn in schoolwork, except for credit classes, she wouldn't graduate and would have to repeat senior year. She then asked me if Mia could take on the responsibility of getting the majority of Emily's work done so that Emily can have passing grades and graduate. I was really shocked that she would ask that and asked if she was joking. Susan confirmed she was in fact not joking around and said it would be really nice of my daughter to help out her best friend like that. I gave her a hard no. Not only was that super against the school's policies and could get them both kicked out before graduation, but Emily has an insane amount of overdue work, and Mia has her own work to focus on that would really hurt her grades if ignored in favor of Emily's. Susan tried to argue with and plead her case to me, but I hung up on her without thinking. Later on, Susan sent me multiple screenshots of Emily's overdue homework, 28 in total, and said that Mia would only have to do half of that. I told this to my husband, thinking he'd agree with me that it's an insane request. But to my surprise, he said that I should consider it since Mia is doing way better in school than she was before, and Emily has been her best friend for 7 years. He also said that it would probably make both girls feel horrible if one graduated while the other got left behind. I don't think I'm an AH, but Susan and my husband seem to think otherwise. I would greatly appreciate outsider perspective. Edit. The deal is that they get their half of the credits waived if they keep their grades at or above passing in their regular courses and credit recovery courses, along with extracurricular work. Also, their GPA gets a bump. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1, LOL, I think I'm reading too many Reddit posts. My first thought was, is Mia's dad sleeping with Emily's mom? LOL. If this is a true story, OP is not the jerk, but her husband and Emily's mom are grade A jerks. Tell your husband and Susan that if either of them approaches Mia about doing Emily's schoolwork, you'll send the screenshots of Susan asking Mia to do Emily's work to the school principal. Why didn't Emily do her own work? Comment 2. It was said that Mia would only have to do half of that. Mia doesn't have to do any of it, not one bit. She knuckled down and did her part for her own graduation after a traumatic event. OP is not the jerk. Do not let Mia take any of Emily's work and jeopardize her own graduation. Maybe Emily will learn a thing or two about consequences for her actions from this. Now, for the update. Hey everyone, thanks for reading my previous post and offering your support and advice. It's been a wild few days since I last updated, and I've got quite a bit to share with you all. After my husband suggested that I should consider letting Mia help Emily with her overdue work, I had a long talk with Mia about the whole situation. She revealed that Emily had been pressuring her for weeks to help her cheat, but Mia had been standing her ground. However, Mia was starting to feel guilty and torn between her loyalty to her best friend and her own moral compass. I reassured Mia that she was doing the right thing by refusing to cheat and that I was proud of her for staying true to herself. The next day, I decided to reach out to Susan again to try and find a compromise. I suggested that maybe Mia could tutor Emily and help her stay on track with her current assignments, but that doing Emily's overdue work was still off the table. Susan reluctantly agreed, and we set up a study schedule for the girls. At first, things seemed to be going well. Mia and Emily were meeting up every day after school to work on homework together, and Emily was slowly but surely starting to catch up. But then, about a week into the arrangement, I got a call from the school. Apparently, they had received an anonymous tip that Mia was doing Emily's work for her, and they were launching an investigation. I was absolutely floored. I knew that Mia would never cheat, but I also knew that the school took these accusations very seriously. If they found any evidence of wrongdoing, both girls could be expelled, and their college prospects would be ruined. As it turned out, the anonymous tip had come from one of Emily's other friends, who had overheard Emily bragging about how Mia was doing all her work for her. When confronted, Emily broke down and admitted that she had been lying to everyone, including her own mother, about the extent of her academic struggles. She had been skipping classes, ignoring assignments, and relying on Mia to bail her out for months. Susan was devastated. She had no idea that Emily's problems were so severe, and she felt like a failure as a parent for not seeing the signs sooner. She apologized profusely to me and Mia for putting us in such a difficult position and promised to get Emily the help she needed. In the end, the school decided not to expel Mia, but they did put her on academic probation for the remainder of the year. Emily, on the other hand, was held back and required to attend summer school to make up for her missing credits. Looking back, I can't help but feel like I should have seen this coming. Emily had always been a bit of a wild child, and Mia had mentioned a few times that she was worried about her friend's behavior. But I had chalked it up to typical teenage rebellion and assumed that Emily would grow out of it eventually. I also realized that my own history with school struggles may have clouded my judgment. When I was in high school, I had a similar experience with a friend who was struggling academically. I had tried to help her, but in the end, I ended up enabling her bad habits and nearly jeopardizing my own future in the process. I should have recognized the parallels sooner and been more proactive in steering Mia away from a similar fate. In the end, though, I'm proud of Mia for standing her ground and doing the right thing, even when it was hard. She's learned a valuable lesson about the importance of integrity and the dangers of taking shortcuts in life. And while her friendship with Emily may never be the same, I know that she'll come out of this experience stronger and wiser than ever before. Thanks again for all your support and advice throughout this whole ordeal. It's been a tough few weeks, but I'm grateful to have such a wonderful community to lean on. Until next time, take care. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day!